All right, friends, it's T-Man. We're going to do another video on JasonBlaha. Man, it's hard to keep up with this guy, pumping out like 6-7 videos a day. This guy is so desperate for money. Anyways, so we're going to react to the gym lifting, recruiting, fitness, gear slaves video. JasonBlaha says, power lifters should train more like bodybuilders for long-term gain. Power lifters should train more like bodybuilders. Bodybuilding is a sport, and powerlifting is a sport. Bodybuilding is not a sport. There's no sport called bodybuilding anywhere in the world. People go to the gym to bodybuild. You understand me? And they're not even building their bodies in the gym. Some are going there to prevent their bodies from building. And some who are intelligent go there to build their bodies eccentrically. They lift concentrically, which is preventing them from growing their bodies. And then they're complaining. They're complaining, why are they not building? Because the eccentric has adapted. You're doing full range of motion. Listen to me. The unique feature of eccentric exercise is that untrained subjects become stiff and sore the next day due to what? Muscle damage. So what's a unique feature once you've adapted to the eccentric part of your full range of motion? Nothing. Newbie gains. Get it? Genetic limit. That's what you call hard gainer. Hard gainer. So what are you doing now when you're going into the gym lifting full range of motion when your eccentric has adapted? What are you getting there? Nothing. You're training to keep your muscles from growing. How ridiculous. How pathetic and stupid is that? Come on, man.
Power lifters should train more like bodybuilders. Hey, everybody, it's JasonBlaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys.
No, why should they train like bodybuilders? They would compromise their sportive performance because bodybuilding compromises sportive performance, real bodybuilding.
Guys and gals, a little bit about this.
It's not a sport. That's why bodybuilding cannot be a sport. And when they do try to bring bodybuilders to compete against these, you get these people on these channels like, oh, we have a bodybuilding and he's a bodybuilder. We're going to have him lifting and doing these things with these other people, whatever. But here's the thing. If it was a really good bodybuilder, if it was a real one, he'd be adapted to a lot of the damage of these exercises. So he can beat somebody that does these exercises that is not trained doing them, because a unique feature of the eccentric part of a full range of motion, the eccentric is what? You get damaged. Get it? A unique feature of eccentric exercise is that untrained subjects become what? Stiff and sore the next day due to muscle damage. So what do you get on the day? You get these micro damages. What do? They weaken you. That's why you lose in the competition. Duh. People just don't understand anything about competitions. The majority of people in strongman, they go to these competitions when they start lifting. Anytime those muscles feel that they are, how should I put it, untrained, and it could be untrained, it could be even one rep, bro. It could be even one set. You were untrained in just one set, and bam, you got these micro tears. And guess what happens? A lot of people get injured in that sport. What happened? Why injured? Because they kept doing these lifts and they opened up that area and it got injured now because it got micro damages. So now it turned into a more severe injury. See what I mean? But people don't understand that. That's the point of bodybuilding. The point of bodybuilding is to get you to grow these muscles to protect you from what? Getting damaged. That's the adaptation process. Your muscles adapt to the eccentric to prevent you from getting damaged. But you want to build more muscle for show and tell. That's most people do. Some people try to build more muscle for more strength. But here's the thing. It's there to protect you. See what I mean? So in a competition, who would fare better than other sports athletes? The real bodybuilder who lifted eccentrically, because he's adapted. He's not going to get damaged. He should be able to zoom through all these exercises if he's a real bodybuilder. But you get these drug addicts that lift concentrically. Get it? They've continued in that behavior, so they lose in the competition. You've never really, the problem is this, nobody has ever really met a real bodybuilder. See what I mean? When I walked into the gym, I once said that to these people. They asked me, they go, holy fuck, you're so big and strong, dude. Like, what are you doing there? And I go, you have never met a real bodybuilder. That's your fucking problem, all of you. You've never really met one. You'd be so lucky if you've ever met one in your lifetime. See what I mean? You just meet these phony, fake so-called bodybuilders. They call themselves bodybuilders, but they're not. They're drug addicts, and then they go on stage and perform.
Please give me a like down below. That would be greatly appreciated. If you aren't following or subscribed yet, please do so and drop me a comment down below. And I have said this stuff many, many times over the years. The same thing, both directions. I've said a lot of bodybuilders, not all of them, because a lot of them do already. A lot of the best in the world should train a little more like powerlifters, meaning they should do some.
Bodybuilders now should train like powerlifters? What are you talking about? That's stupid. There's no such thing as powerlifting. It's a sport.
Barbell work. It'll improve their density and neural drive and everything. And I've also said that most powerlifters.
I always said that. Bodybuilders should never train like a powerlifter to keep themselves small and weak, okay?
Would do better to do most of their training like a bodybuilder.
And if powerlifters train like bodybuilders, they will compromise their sportive performance.
And let's look into a little
lifting concentrically, but they'll be lifting now eccentrically. Is that it? That makes absolutely no sense. But okay, I'm not saying that you shouldn't build your body first, bodybuilding, and then carry it over to powerlifting. Yes, because it's a carryover to powerlifting. But powerlifting is not a carryover to bodybuilding, because you're going to have to start all over again. Lifting eccentrically. Get it, man? Christ.
Of why. And I know sometimes this sounds like a broken
That's why you hear these weightlifters, they say, okay, you could lift as a power lifter. You've got some strength there. Is it a carryover to weightlifting? Not necessarily. See what I mean? You're going to have to start all over again with a stupid PVC pipe and all that, whatever, because poor everything. Get it? A lot of it is eccentric. Their squats are based on frontal squats. They do a lot of front squats, which are astronomically difficult. You can practice in the gym front and behind. I think you should. But yeah, the front squat is very difficult.
But a lot of new people chime in here, they don't know this. A lot of powerlifters who focus almost entirely on their...
And I'm not talking about...
Powerlifters who focus almost entirely...
And I'm not talking about concentric squats like Blaha here. Look at this goofy exercise. What is he doing?
On their heavy work with only a small amount of say, assistance type work, not even true accessory.
Like
we start talking... bodybuilding type training, we're talking about a lot of accessory work. Yeah, a lot of high rep accessory work. We're talking 8+ reps, 10+ reps. I mean, like if you watch
bodybuilding is about building myofibrillar growth, so it's based on eccentric overload exercise. Christ, we don't lift in the opposite direction against gravity. That would keep our muscles small and weak. Get it? Like these asshole lifters in the gym. And this asshole power lifter.
Video here, everything I'm doing is 10 to 15 reps. You're going to see some good mornings, some belt.
Look, do you people understand there's a lot of asshole people out there? Asshole. They lift like assholes. They train like assholes, dude. Get it? You understand me, man?
Squats, weighted dips, weighted pull-ups, all right, some tricep extensions. Right? Every single thing here is 10 to 15 reps. So this is literally what I'm talking about. And yes, there's even isolation work. And here's the thing.
Christ, is he getting older? He looks terrible.
When you see the powerlifters, people are like, but many powerlifters have been successful on the other.
Yeah,
they are, but they also get hurt. Okay?
They get hurt because they're weak eccentrically. They don't lift to get physically stronger. They lift to get better and get smaller to lift against gravity. That's why I try to explain. I'm going to explain this fucking one more time in this goddamn video. When you go into outer space, those astronauts, when they come down to planet Earth, they're small. you lose your muscle up there when you go against gravity in outer space. Get it? You get small. So when you lift concentrically, your muscles shrink, pushing against gravity, squeezing against gravity. Now, when you go with gravity, with the weight, you get bigger. Get it? Physically stronger and bigger. So when you go against gravity, you get smaller every time you lift.
They get hurt, and they also are oftentimes don't look as jacked. They don't look as good, and they have a
high... they don't look as good and they don't look as jacked, powerlifters, because that's their mode of lifting, to stay small and weak, but appear, but give the appearance that they're strong by lifting concentrically. And they're still weak because they can't lift that heavy anyways. I'm not talking about drug addicts. I'm talking about people that lift naturally. You can only lift so much, because I've seen them. The most they can deadlift is 500. All right? That's the most they can lift, is 500 pounds off the floor. All right? Now you're talking about drug addicts. They can lift heavier because they're taking drugs. But that's fake too anyways.
Injury rates. And I mean, that injury rate, let's say you don't care about the other. All right, fine. But the injury rate is kind of a big deal. And it's not because lifting heavy is inherent.
Man, I could show you a guy's channel called Max Strasny. He's a skinny, weak guy, okay? Look, you want to see a powerlifting? Here. There's so many powerlifters like this, okay? He doesn't even post videos anymore. He disappeared. Look, 1 year ago. I don't even know what happened to, because they give up, these powerlifters. They give up. This sport sucks. He tried to take up some bodybuilding and went to a show, but it was ridiculous too. He failed. I don't know where his powerlifting is. Hold on. Is this powerlifting? Brutal deadlift.
Yo.
Let's see. Hold on a second. See if he's doing anything.
Our idea.
See how skinny and weak he is? He suffered a back injury. He's had injuries. He almost thought he couldn't lift anymore. The most he can lift is 500. I've seen him in the competition. The most that these people could lift is 500. And look how skinny and weak he looks. Because he's skinny and he's weak. Because he's lifting against gravity. That's how all of them look like. All of these so-called power lifters. I remember he had a video where he started way back. Yeah, hold on. He's never built any muscle. He's never built muscle. He pretends because he's skinny and lean. He tried to take up bodybuilding, but he's never built any muscle. He's always showing himself here posing, but powerlifting has nothing to do with building physique, so I don't know why he keeps showing himself. Which is really ridiculous. Here, hold on, let's see. Look how skinny he is. He's small. Small pretend. He eats a lot of garbage food.
Right now it's way too high.
Just a second. Let me see. Where was he lifting there? Fuck. I don't know where it was. His rows are shit. They're all concentric. Look how skinny he is. Like I said, he's in competition. I've seen him in competition lifting. I wish I could find the video now because there's just so many things to go through. He could squat quite heavy too. He could squat heavy, somewhat heavy, and he can lift heavy off the floor. But he's skinny and he's weak. But you get the point. Here it is. Like I think it's this one. Let's see him. I've seen his squatting. Shit.
I was feeling pretty taxed after that first set, not gonna lie.
See how low he goes.
But
it's a concentric lift. It's a concentric squat. Here he is.
On squat and second and third attempt on deadlift, I'm guessing.
See? He's lifting 400 pounds. Look how skinny and weak he looks.
Because I do want to hit 500 pounds on the deadlift at the meet. It sounds like a pretty
He did. He hit 500 pounds at the meet. But look how skinny he is. Look how small he is. Look.
far goal, but
That's my
lately,
goal.
just on this peak, I think it might be possible, and especially at the meet.
The funny thing is he keeps lifting it for reps. He thinks maybe it's building him. It's not. It doesn't build you.
There's just gonna be so many people just yelling, and the atmosphere is just gonna be so much.
The thing is with him, he eats a lot of carbohydrates, so he fakes this look because he's a skinny kid. He eats a lot of he eats a lot of shitty food, like a lot of carbs. So the carbs pump in his muscles, and then he poses in his videos like he's a bodybuilder. You're not bodybuilding, bro. You're a fucking stupid shit powerlifter, garbage ass sport. And then you're trying to pretend that you're bodybuilding. So he poses, he's a powerlifter, and then he poses in all his fucking thumbnails like he's a bodybuilder. Look how small he is. He's skinny and he's weak, man. Would you be scared of him walking down the street?
So much more.
Because he could lift 500 pounds off the floor. He could squat pretty heavy too. Yeah, but it's concentric. It's all concentric lifting. Let's see what else he's got here. I don't know. He's talking in the car sometimes. He's like the Sam Sulic of whatever. He's been around before Sam Sulic. Like I said, look at him here, posing in his videos. Look at him. Look at this. Showing his back and everything. He's not a bodybuilder.
Yep.
Why would you show your body? I don't know if he's going to pose in here. Look at him. See? That's the thing. And then he starts lifting. He starts powerlifting. Then he starts doing some bodybuilding. Like he's doing bodybuilding stuff. See what I mean? And he's a power lifter. If he didn't even do any of these exercises, he looked completely shitty. So there you go. That's not powerlifting. That's not powerlifting. That's fucking bodybuilding now. You're moving weights, but you're not even moving in the proper direction anyways, regardless. So yeah, there you go. He's really skinny. He's weak, bro. That's why I try to use this as an example, okay? Where's Blaha? Where's that doofus?
A big deal.
There you go. If I knew, I would have had it ready.
And a big deal. And it's not because lifting heavy is inherently dangerous. It's that lifting heavy too often with too much volume is dangerous.
It's dangerous if you go down the eccentric and you're not strong enough or adapted to it. Yeah, it's just bad. It just makes you small.
Does that
Keeps
make
you
sense?
small.
Like there's nothing
Small and weak.
inherently dangerous about
The reason why the government wants people lifting concentrically, especially concentrically, and powerlifting, they promote it a lot. These kind of things, because they want to keep you small and weak. That's the whole point. In your head, you think you're a strong guy. You walk around, you think you're really strong. But then you feel intimidated by bodybuilders because they're big and strong. But you're small and strong. You think you're small and strong guy. Get it? You're lifting a heavy weight. See what I'm trying to explain to you? And then you walk around the gym, you go, well, I try to run around and show these big strong guys how I'm a small strong guy. Nobody gives a shit about a small strong guy. Get it? People are scared of big strong guys, not small strong guys.
maxing out on a deadlift variation every week. If your form is good, you're not having overuse issues, okay? And that's what we mean. A max deadlift done correctly is not an inherently dangerous thing. The injury risk is really low. Okay, the injury risk is low. You know, you'll get people who'll say nonsense like, well, I've seen even a power lifter rip his biceps doing double overhand with straps on.
Yeah, you've seen a powerlifter lift to fucking ripping his biceps or whatever because he's weak eccentrically. That's why.
Deadlift is just true, which is why I laugh at the mixed grip.
He's physically weak.
Elbow bend is to blame.
And all that, and then try to make themselves look big by eating tons and tons of carbohydrates, garbage food. Pretend big.
It's like, yeah, but he didn't do a deadlift correctly. Let me state that again. If he used correct technique
Yeah.
It would be impossible to rip a bicep in that scenario. It would be biomechanically impossible, yet it still happens. Because he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know how to deadlift. But he was pulling 700 pounds incorrectly. He doesn't know how to deadlift. Strength level still doesn't mean that you know how to do a lift correctly. It just means you're really...
He wasn't pulling 700. The most a natural person can pull is around 500.
really strong. All right, so in that context, let's look at a lot of that though. It's not dangerous.
Blaha put on a weight there. No, he put on more weight. He's using a 45-pound plate to get even smaller. Let's see how small we can get. Let's go heavier concentrically and see how small we can get and skinny and weak. Like that Max Strasny dude.
It's overuse, and maybe that could be a factor there also. It's overuse. It's beating your recovery up. And those lifters tend to...
He couldn't figure out why his muscles were never growing. That guy Max Strasny, he goes, but I lift a heavy weight, right? They're all like, yeah, you have to progressively overload, don't you? Yeah, in the opposite direction. Duh. If you progressively overload like Blaha concentrically, that makes you smaller. So where does the overload make you bigger? In the eccentric. Duh.
Break, and this is I've seen Louis Simmons point this out many times over the years.
Oh, he has, has he?
That Western linear periodization, particularly the ultra high specificity.
Oh yeah.
It breaks lifters.
It does it?
It injures them eventually, and
it breaks lifters. It injures them because they went eccentrically and they got damaged.
See that? Look how many people even on the tube.
Sure.
So what's the hottest online slots casino in Ontario right now?
Tubes. Other people can't even powerlift anymore who were really strong 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
They can't powerlift anymore because powerlifting weakens you and destroys your body. Look at astronauts when they go out in space and then they come back on planet Earth.
Now they can't bench 315. They can't squat 450. Are we serious?
Nope, they can't do any of that because they've destroyed themselves. They've weakened their body. They never got stronger.
And they're younger than me. Right? It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, like that Max Strasny guy. He hasn't posted a video in more than a year. He's gone. He dropped out of it. Well, I don't know why. Because a lot of these people, they drop out. He made a video where he almost crippled himself from lifting. He said he got a bulging disc and he went to a doctor and he thought he could never lift again. But he's young, so he kind of got over it. And then he started lifting heavy again. But who knows? Maybe that problem, he irritated and it came back and that's it. It takes you out of the sport. So yeah, powerlifting, if you get an injury, a back injury, that's the worst thing you can ever get, is a spinal injury. You'll be fucked. You'll never be able to lift heavy ever again. If you injure your spine, you will never be able to lift as heavy as you could ever lift, or maybe not even lift at all later on. Yes, I'm not joking, because remember, a lot of that strength is based on the nervous system. If you fuck your nervous system, which is your spine, you get abnormal cord signal coming from the brain down your spine to your extremities, you're fucked. Yeah. You're cooked. You're cooked, man. It doesn't matter.
Kind of a big deal. It's a really big deal. So,
I know this from experience. Both of my hands are still numb. Both of my hands are numb because of the spine. I have poor cord signal, because it says that on the MRI. The MRI will tell you a bunch of things. It tells you where the problems are in your spine. I've got all kinds of problems there. So it costs me a lot of my strength, but I'm lucky because I have a lot more muscle to fall back on. I have a lot more myofibrillar growth to fall back on. Unlike a lot of people, if they never built any new myofibrillars, they don't have anything to fall back on. See what I mean? And then you're really weak. Like you just can't do anything. So I'm pretty lucky, I gotta say. I have that problem with the spine and the nervous system and shit, this nerve damage shit. But guess what? I can fall back on the amount of muscle that I have. I'm lucky.
So when we say training like a bodybuilder, what do we mean? We mean working multiple angles. We mean doing various rep ranges, right? Doing most of your work in the 8+ rep range, okay? And higher, meaning like we don't mean just 8 or 9. I'm saying 8 is kind of like down.
Wasn't Blaha hurt one time? He was in a hospital bed for a while, wasn't he? I can't remember exactly what happened to him. Something bad happened. I don't know. Yeah, that was a while ago, way back, something, I don't know.
The low end of that. I don't do a lot of stuff there these days. I do mostly 10+. So even for me, outside of my max effort and dynamic effort work, which is the barbell stuff, almost all my training is 10+ reps. Okay? 10.
All of his training is 10+ reps. The repetitions are to create micro damages. That's why you're doing repetition work. And powerlifting, that doesn't really transfer. Okay.
The 12 is kind of my baseline where I'd like to spend most of my time. With some stuff higher, I do some 20+.
Look, I'll explain this. In powerlifting, if you go higher in repetition, then you definitely are going to get smaller. So lifting heavy concentrically and going higher in repetition will make your muscles even smaller. You understand me? It'll make it smaller because it has to, because it thinks it's adapting to this exercise by getting smaller so it can produce more force in the opposite direction that you're lifting in. You understand me, man? That's what it's doing. You get it?
All right, but I digress back over to the point. By doing so, we build tissue. We build support musculature.
You don't. You don't by doing so. You don't build any of that. You can get micro damages eccentrically lifting, high rep ranges. I wouldn't go higher than 12. You can go quite high, but I wouldn't. You understand? There's a reason for that. I'm not going to explain it in this video.
All right, this is kind of a big deal. It also
all right, I'll tell you, because it can be dangerous. That's why.
Keep in mind, guys, muscle mass increases strength. All right. Yes, fat can also, but
yes, muscle mass increases strength. It does. You understand me? But you can't build it lifting concentrically or overloading it concentrically lifting. You get it?
Muscle will increase strength way more than fat. Fat will not increase your deadlift, by the way. It will increase your squat and your bench press through leverage advantage.
No, fat will weigh down on your body. Your body's going to have to compensate by increasing muscle mass. You understand me? It'll automatically create more muscle mass to compensate, man, for the amount of fat you're carrying on your body.
Provable fact. But muscle tissue will always increase it. Like you increase primary movers, your lift goes up. You increase stabilizers, the lift.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, if you increase muscle mass, yeah, it will. But here's the thing. Can you produce more force without building more muscle? Yeah. Your body will compensate by doing what? It'll align them in parallel, your muscles. It will shorten them to align them. Listen, it will keep shortening them, but align them in parallel. Do you understand me? More in parallel. To produce more force, but to a degree. All right? And what happens is the motor units, they'll proliferate, and you'll get more androgen receptors because they'll proliferate everywhere, these androgen receptors, so the hormones can bind to them, giving you more force production in the opposite direction.
Become safer, more stable, more secure. Okay? And that matters. It means things like being able to control the eccentric correctly. Right? It's staying your ideal bar path. So what do I mean stabilizers? So for your bench press, things like your upper back, your biceps, your lats, those are stabilizers. Kind of a big deal.
Okay.
For your squat, what do we mean stabilizers?
Whatever.
Your hamstrings, a lot of your back, a lot of your musculature, your trunk, Okay, it gives you a more stable squat. Hamstrings will help stabilize the knee better. It gives you better control of where you want to put your hips on the eccentric. So again, building all these muscles up improves your...
Yeah, you will never build your dream physique if that's what you want to build, just a physique, just a look. You'll never build that dream physique naturally if you lift concentrically. You understand me? And you're adapted. Or you're lifting overload concentrically heavy. You'll never build that dream physique. Never.
lifts, improves joint stability, and it doesn't beat you up the same way. All right, so when we say this, I'm very serious. If you really want to play the long game, if you're serious about lifting really heavy for a lot of years, focusing more on bodybuilding type training really is going to get you further. And then for the heavy lifting, do the amount that you need, right? The amount that you need to get stronger. So even in conjugate type system like I use, and it's worked for decades, you're usually maxing out on one upper body and one lower body lift a week. That's it. Everything else is just speed work, dynamic work with light weights.
Okay, whatever.
And then you come in and just build everything up with hypertrophy type training like a bodybuilder, right? I mean, it works. You'll stay in the game longer. You'll hurt less. You'll be less beat up. You'll be just as strong. And you'll look good on top of it. You'll look a lot better.
Sure.
Right? It's really the way to go. Trust me on this, guys, when I say this. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today.
I don't trust you. I don't trust you, Blaha, because you don't know what you're talking about. I'll see you in the next one, friends. Don't you think about that? Like, subscribe, support the channel. That was interesting.